Dear viewers, welcome back my Blazor playlist. In this episode, I'll discuss how we can render list in Blazor application. Okay, let's create a component, a Blazor component. So I'm going to create a customer component because I'm going to render the customer list. Here we can see that component has two portions. First, the HTML markup and the second C# code. And this code contains processing logic for dynamic behavior. Components support partial class. This allows to create a separate C# partial class for processing logic. Let's add a partial class for this component here. Now make it turns into partial. So for this component, I will add the C# code inside this code behind class file. Okay, let's add route to this component so that we can browse using URL. Using page directory, we can define a route. So here page. So name of the route to customers. Let's see in browser by using the customers. Okay, let's check the route. Oh, sorry, there is a mistake. Let's save and browse again. Now we can see the customer component. Okay, let's add HTML table elements. Save and see in browser. Here, this data is static. Let's change first name, last name, email. And also we can add the gender. Let's remove this static data here. Okay, let's define a field inside the customer says file that contain a list of customer here. So this is the list of customers. So using the for is, we can populate the list of customer inside the markup, like add for is and var item in customers. And we can replace this id item dot id and here item dot first name, item dot last name, item dot email address, and item dot gender id. Let's save and see in browser. Okay. So we can use a C# for is to render the list in Blazor. This data is not dynamic also. This is static data. In real world, dynamic means data will come from user. User will save their data into database and read data from database. Let's see how we can read data from database by calling a REST API. So let's first add a component base. So every component inherits this class, and let's override one initialize async even handler method. This method will be called when the component first initialized. So let's remove this data, inject HTTP client. So inside this method, this dot customers, here to resolve this get from JSON async, I need to add a system dot net HTTP and JSON. Let's run the application. Browse the customer. Yeah, this data is coming from the database. This is all about list rendering in Blazor. If I recapitulate, you first need to define a field inside the component class file, and you need to call API using HTTP client, and finally you can use C# for is to iterate through the list items to populate to render the data.